What's up, vlog? Welcome back to another episode. I'm Dookie Bets, as always. Today we've got vlog 33. We're playing in a $1, $2 home game somewhere in the fine state of Massachusetts. I think we're in for like 500 to start, and then we'll see where it goes from there. We're going to play some hands, hopefully win some money, and hopefully play good. That's all I really got. If you enjoy the video and you want to see more, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'll leave a link down below. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on the way. That's all I really got. Let's hop into the video and let's turn some sand into gold. Hopping right into the action we go. We're in the game for $500. We're playing 1-2, but this was one of the craziest 1-2 games I've ever seen. Button straddle is frequently on to 5. Under the gun straddle is on sometimes as well. Sometimes we have the button straddle on for more than 5. It's sometimes 10, 15, sometimes even $50. This game was complete and utter chaos, needless to say. Honestly, it was one of the biggest 1-2 games I've ever been a part of. So we have plenty of hands to cover. Yes, it's a 1-2 game, but it's playing more like 2-5. First hand of the day comes at 12:54, so we've sat down, we've settled in for about 30 minutes. We have opened up a couple of hands, missed some flops, and then I think we played a bomb pot as well, so our stack's down about $50 from our $500 starting point. This is the first interesting hand of the day. We see the hijack player open things up to 15 bucks. Over a button straddle from yours truly. And when it folds over to me, I elect to take a flop here. We're in position. We're calling $10 more. Happy to flick it in and play in position with a nice little suited connector, playing fairly deep as well. We get a flop of Queen 9-7 rainbow board. We have a backdoor flush as well as a gut shot straight draw. He checks it over to us, and I sort of expect this player to just lead out with like any sort of Queen X if he has that. No read that's sort of set in stone thus far. We've only played for about half an hour, but I have seen a couple things, so when he checks it over to us, I'm going to just fire here. Maybe not the right hand to do this with just because we really don't have that much equity, but at the same time, if he does check raise, we're happy to just fold, so I don't really mind the stab here. We're going to bet $20 into about 33, and he's going to flick in the call after some thought. Turn rolls off the 10 of spades. He's going to check it over to us once again. Obviously, this card doesn't really improve us in any way. It's not a heart. It's not a 8. We're stuck with just 6 high, and I decided to check things back here. Not really sure what's going on in this hand. I'm kind of just clicking buttons, to be honest with you. Anyways, after a series of random button clicks, the queen of spades rolls off on the river, so we do not improve. We still have literally no showdown value whatsoever. So when he checks it over to us for a third time, we cannot win this hand by checking back. Luckily enough for us, our opponent seems fairly uninterested in this pot. I think when we check back on the turn, he's going to come out and lead with a lot of his value hands, any sort of Queen X, and then maybe some 10x as well for a thin value bet. I think I just get to bluff this river a lot here as played. I'm going to heroically grab 3 green chips and blast them into the middle, knowing damn well that if this player also puts money into the middle, I do not get my green chips back. Luckily enough for us, he doesn't take too long before finding the fold. Glad we didn't have to triumphantly windmill 6 high 30 minutes into this session, so happy about that. We take down a nice little pot and add a couple bucks in profit to the stack. This next hand happens about an hour later. If you guys wanted to see me punt about $500 worth of chips, you've came to the right place. We see the under the gun player as well as the +1, the MP, the low jack, the hijack, and the cutoff limp in for $2. The entire table is rooting for a family pot here, and I hate to be that guy, the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately, I ruin the family pot. I make it $20 to go here on the button. This is actually a bit too loose with Queen 10 off. I should probably either just be over limping or folding, but we make it 20 to go. And you know what they say, if it's good for $2, it's good for 20. We see the big blind, the middle position player, the hijack, and the cutoff flick in the call rather than going 8 or 9 ways. We're now going 5 ways, which still certainly isn't very ideal. We get a flop of 10-8 deuce, 2-tone board with 2 spades and a diamond. Pretty good flop for our medium strength hand. We have top pair, queen high kicker. We're going to see 4 checks from the field. It gets over to us, and I'm going to fire out here for $35. Going about 1/3 pot, and we get the big blind and the hijack player putting in the call, so we've thinned the field from 5 to 3, but this pot has ballooned to over $200. Turn rolls off the deuce of clubs. This will reduce the number of sets our opponents can have, so pretty reasonable turn card. It also doesn't complete any spade flush draws, so also ideal. We see 2 quick checks once again, and I decided to fire out for $150. This is just a terrible size on my end because I'm pretty much committing my stack to be going all in if someone decides to raise. Not really that good of a size. I should either just be checking or sizing down, I think. We now see the big blind player raise things up to $325. The hijack player pretty quickly folds. Like I said, I've pretty much committed my stack here. This really doesn't feel great. How can we ever be good here with Queen 10? We reluctantly raise to $357, putting us all in. He snaps us off for only $25 or so more. He flips over King 10 of diamonds, so obviously in pretty tough shape here. We got a couple of outs, but they do not come on the river. We lose this about $900 pot, lose about $400 in our stack, and we pretty quickly reload for another $1,000. Not really getting off on the right foot today, but pretty much a punt on our end here. We probably don't need to raise pre-flop. We also don't really need to choose this $150 size on the turn. Once we do this, obviously we have to put all our chips in the middle. Can't fold, we're pot committed, but at the same time, this sizing on the turn just feels really bad to me, and yeah, pretty much giving it away here. Go roast me in the comments below, and let's move on to the next hand. Feeling a little bit demoralized now. We're now in the game for $1,500. We've gotten our heart broken once, and we're ready for our heart to get broken again. We're playing 1-2-5 with the $5 button straddle on. We see the big blind as well as the under the gun and the +1 player come in for $5. I peel ace queen offsuit in the hijack position and decide to raise things up to $35 to go. We see the button, the big blind, the under the gun player, as well as the +1 put in the call. So once again, we're playing 5-man tango with quite a bit of change in the middle. We get a pretty reasonable flop for our hand. We get queen, jack, 6, two-tone board with 2 hearts. We have the ace of hearts, so not too worried about flush draws. Feeling pretty good about this flop all in all. We're going to see 3 quick checks from the field. It gets over to us. And in a game like this where everybody's just splashing about, we definitely want to go for some protection as well as value with top here on this board. We bet out for $80. We see the button player fold, as well as the big blind. The under the gun player is going to flick in the call for $80, and +1 behind him is going to fold. So we're now going heads up to the turn, which is going to be a lot more ideal and easier to navigate than going 5 ways. We get the 9 of clubs on the turn. Not the most ideal turn card ever. Hands like King 10 now improving, as well as 10-8 if he called with a gut shot. We're still going to be ahead of some stuff, but overall it's kind of a dicey card. It's also going to make our life more difficult to get paid here if he has a hand like King Queen or something like that. He's going to check it over to us once again, and this player only has about $250 behind. There's already $340 in the middle. I think we really only have one choice, and we're just going to put it all in here, which is probably fairly thin as well. But I really think this is our only size, and checking back here also doesn't seem great just because there's going to be a lot of dicey river cards that we don't really want to navigate. So let's get the chips in now. We jam for $253 effective. He absolutely snaps us off, and my heart sinks. The river rolls off a relative blank. We table our hand, and somehow, in some way, we win this pot. When we get turbo snapped on the turn here, I was for sure certain that we were losing this pot. I guess he had King Queen or something like that. I didn't end up asking. We win the hand though, so we'll take it. We take down this $842 pot and add about $500 to our stack, so pretty much unstuck from the hand prior. Really good for the confidence and the morale here to pretty much get unstuck from punting the hand prior. We'll definitely take it. Some time passes. We don't really do all that much. At 2:54 in the afternoon, we pick up ace queen offsuit once again, playing out of the +1 position here with no straddle on, just a naked 1-2. We open things up to $10 to go. Our friend Zach next to act is going to 3-bet us here to $45. And our friend Bill in the low jack is going to cold call the $45 3-bet. It's going to fold back around to us. And against some players, I would likely just ditch the ace queen off here against the 3-bet. Zach is a younger kid, definitely capable of finding 3-bets with things other than just aces and kings. He's well below the median age at this table, so definitely not the OMC player archetype and is finding a healthy amount of 3-bets. That being said, I think our best play here is going to be a 4-bet bluff. I think low jack is always going to just be dead money here. He would obviously be 4-betting himself with top 5% of his hands like aces, kings, queens, etc. It's hard for Bill to have a good hand here. We're going to run the 4-bet. We make things $125 to go. We see Zach and MP find the fold. He gets out of the way. And then it gets back over to Bill, who just flatted the 3-bet, and he's going to put in $125 here. So We're going to go heads up out of position to a flop with ace-queen offsuit.
Without further ado,
Turn some sand into gold. Turning sand into gold is always the goal, and on a board like this, it should be fairly easy. We get ace-queen jack two-tone board with 2 hearts. Playing a 4-bet pot here, I'm probably just going to bet small with most of my range. I'm also going to connect very well on this board for the most part. I'm going to have all the sets. I don't really think Bill can have any of the sets, except maybe jacks once in a while. Bill is somewhat a fan of the vlog, I'd say, and is also the self-proclaimed worst player at the table, although I think I disagree with that take. I'm going to fire out here for $75, and he's pretty quickly going to raise things up to $250. I have top 2 pair, so me want to play big pot. Pretty simple hand analysis here, really. We're just going to rip it for 1,000 effective. All in.
Oh. Pair,
We get turbo snap called, which again, sort of scary. He could have a hand like king 10. But luckily enough for us, we find the massive cooler here. He has queen jack of diamonds for bottom 2 pair. This pot has ballooned all the way up to $2,300, which is absolutely insane for a 1-2 game. Playing 1,000 big blind pot here, and I'm praying for a clean run out. We get the 9 of diamonds on the turn, and then the 7 of hearts on the river. We hold, and we're pretty stoked to take down this $2,400 pot. It's not every day you play a pot this large at 1-2, so obviously stoked with the outcome. Really good turn of events here for us, and we just get to cooler our opponent here, so really just what dreams are made of. About an hour's gone by now. We're sitting on about 2.5k in our stack. We've exchanged some of our green chips for black plaques. Those are worth $100 each. In this hand, we're in +1 and we peel ace-5 of clubs. We open up to $10 once again, just playing naked 1-2. Our friend Bill, once again in the low jack, wants to battle with us some more. He's going to 3-bet us up to 35. Folds back over to me, and I'm going to flick in the call here. We're going to give some action. Plus, I think our ace-5 is going to be doing fairly well against Bill, who could be steamed from the last hand, although I'm not entirely sure. We get a flop of ace-10-9, rainbow board, no clubs. Pretty good start for our hand. We have top pair. Out of position, we're just going to start with a check here, and Bill is going to check things back, so going to the turn for no charge. Turn rolls off the 4 of diamonds, really changes nothing. If we were ahead on the flop, we're likely still ahead. I'm going to check it over once again, and the low jack player is now going to come out and bet $50 into about 70. Pretty easy decision here on our end. I think raising would be an obvious overplay. I think folding would be too nitty. So with that in mind, we flick in 2 green chips and head to the river. River rolls off the king of spades. I check for a 3rd time, and Bill goes absolutely massive here. He's going to bet $200. Slight overbet into about 173. In game, I just turbo snap call. Obviously, this player is capable of finding bluffs. We've under-repped our hand somewhat. Unfortunately, he does have ace-queen here.
he has it sometimes.
He is allowed to have it sometimes. Very wise words there. Let me know what you guys think about this call in the comments below. I think it's fine, but at the very least, I should have thought about it for a bit more on the river here. Shout out Bill getting us back here, the self-proclaimed worst player at the table. Finding the sneaky check back on the flop here and absolutely wrecking our soul. 2 hands later, we're playing out of the under-the-gun straddle. We put the 5 on. It's going to fold all the way around to the small blind player, which I really wouldn't be surprised if this was the first time that this has ever happened in this game. Small blind player is none other than JQ Poker, my nemesis. He's going to open things up to $20. The big blind is going to get out of the way. We look down at king 9 offsuit. Certainly not a spectacular hand, but when you have the opportunity to play in position against a massive whale like JQ, you should probably take it. We flick in the money and we're going heads up in position to the flop. We get a flop of king 10-8, 2-tone board with 2 hearts. We have the king of hearts in our hand. JQ is going to start with the check over to us, and I decided to just check this one back, play some pot control. We have the king of hearts blocker as well as the 9 blocker, so we're blocking a lot of draws. We probably can't go 3 streets with this hand. It's just too thin, so we decide to check it back. The turn is pretty spectacular. It's the king of clubs. We improve to trips. JQ is now going to bet out for $25 here. We could definitely find a raise here, but I think it's going to be better to just call and have him blast with all of his bluffs on the river. So we flick in $25 and we're headed to the river. We get the deuce of spades on the river. Pretty innocuous river card for the most part. I'm licking my lips looking at the pot and just preparing to pull it in my way. We have such a good hand on this board. I'm ready to raise whatever bet he puts out until he comes with $175, going about 2x pot for just a sick overbet here on the river. I was definitely considering a raise against a normal size, but against this massive overbet, I just don't think we're allowed to. Extremely polar bet sizing here, which means he either has the nuts or absolutely nothing. if we were going to raise against that range, we're either getting snapped by better or just folding out worse. So in this particular instance, I really don't think a raise makes any sense at all. I honestly even considered folding here. It's just such a big bet. After a bit of tanking from yours truly, I hit him with a little speech. I feel like I'm knit rolling you right now.
No, I mean, I've played there a couple times. It's not my favorite place to play. Also not that convenient for me to go there.
I think I can fold that. And eventually I flick in the call. I really don't think I can fold here, even to a massive size like this. He rolls over king queen offsuit, so absolutely leveled here. I guess I am the fish that everyone wants to play pots with. Nice hand, JQ. Next hand of the day comes quite some time later. We're playing 1-2-5 with the button straddle on. We see the big blind as well as the under the gun player put in a $5 call. The low jack's now going to open things up to $35. I'm on the button with king jack of spades, and I decide to put my foot on the gas here. I'm going to 3-bet up to $90 to go. The big blind and the under the gun player are going to find the fold, and the low jack who opened up to $35 is going to put in the call. So we're going heads up in position to the flop. We get a flop of queen 6-3, two-tone board with 2 spades. Really good start for us. We have the flush draw as well as a pretty decent board for our range. Low jack checks it over to us, and I decide to c-bet here for $60, going about 1/3 pot. He doesn't take too long before flicking in the call, so we're headed to the turn. Turn rolls off the 8 of clubs, really doesn't change much. He checks it over to us once again. In hindsight, definitely should be betting this card here. It really doesn't change anything on the board all too much. We're going to have the obvious nut advantage. We're going to have queens, kings, aces. He really can't have any of those hands. Plus we have the king high flush draw here, so we should just be trying our best to build a pot. Not really sure why I checked back. Maybe I just chickened out. I'm a little baby boy, I guess. Anyways, we check it back and we're headed to the river. River rolls off the 4 of diamonds. Low jack's now going to lead for $150. Nothing really to do here except fold. Yeah, overall we just played this hand like a scared little boy, and we should have fired the turn, probably bluffed it off on the river, but instead we gave up the betting lead and just gave up. Pretty soft. On to the next hand. About 5 minutes later, we hop into our next hand of the day. We're in the low jack here. We see the under the gun player limp in for $2. Folds over to me, and I come in with a $15 raise here with king jack offsuit. We see the small blind, the big blind, and the under the gun limper put in the call, so we're going 4 ways to the flop. Fantastic flop here for our hand. We get jack jack 5 rainbow board, 3 quick checks from the field, and I fire out for 1/3 pot. Here I go about $20. You could make an argument to go a bit bigger on this board, but I think going 4 ways, just finding the B33 is fine. Small blind's going to get out of the way, big blind's going to flick in the call, and under the gun is going to fold. So we're now going heads up to the turn with a very, very strong hand here. Turn rolls off the deuce of clubs, really changes absolutely nothing. Once again, licking our lips here. We have a very strong value hand, and we're trying to shovel as much money in the middle as possible. Big blind's going to check for a second time here, and I'm just going to bet 60% of the pot. I go $60. Big blind's now going to find the check raise on the turn to $150. This player is on the tighter side for the most part, really doesn't get out of line all that much, so he could have a hand like pocket 5s, pocket deuces. It's hard to put him on a hand like ace jack just because I think he would 3-bet pre-flop. At the same time, maybe not. We're also beating value for what it's worth. He could have a hand like jack 10, queen jack, and we're just crushing that. So no, I don't think this is ever a bluff, but I do think we're beating some value hands. We put in the call, and we're headed to the river with $400 in the middle. River rolls off the 8 of spades. Big blind leads out for $200, going half pot here. He's got about $450 in his stack, so $250 behind. I think there's definitely an argument to be made here to go all in. We could get value from a hand like jack 10 or queen jack, like I mentioned prior. But at the same time, it really just doesn't feel great here. There are a handful of hands that we're losing to, as mentioned prior, 5s, deuces, ace jack maybe. After quite a bit of thought, I decided on just calling here. He rolls over ace jack of hearts, and we're happy to say we lost the minimum here. Played a very large $800 pot here. Got coolered pretty horribly, but we saved ourselves $200, so we're happy about the result on this hand. Can't feel bad for ourselves here. We just gotta go play the next hand, try and play it as best as possible, and that comes about 10 minutes later. We see the under the gun player limp in for 5, the low jack and the cutoff over limp. I'm in the big blind with ace king of diamonds, and I open things up to $40, putting in a nice chunky raise here, just trying to attack this limped dead money. We see the under the gun player put in the call, as well as the low jack and the cutoff. So we're headed 4 ways here to a flop with about 160 in the middle. We get a flop of 8-7-5 two-tone with 2 hearts and a club. Horrible board for my hand as well as my range for the most part. This is just going to connect well with a limping range, I think. I start with a check and it's going to end up checking all the way around. Pretty much done with this hand at this point in time until the turn comes the king of clubs. We improve from nut no pair to top. I start with a check once again. I could probably honestly just lead on this turn card. Under the gun player checks behind. The low jack is now going to bet $10 and the cutoff is going to call. For such a gimmicky size, I feel like this is indicative of a lot of straight draws or flush draws or something like that. That being said, I want to charge those hands for a river card, so I raise things up to $100 to go. If people go bananas behind me, I think we have a pretty easy fold just because there's a handful of 2 pairs, straights, and things like that that are just going to be smashing us here. We see the under the gun player put in the call, the low jack player is going to fold, and the cutoff who called the $10 behind is going to put in the call as well, so I'm feeling fairly certain that I have no clue what's going on right now. We go to the river, which is the 10 of hearts. For obvious reasons, I'm not in love with this card. Brings in the obvious flush that we don't have blocked at all. And as played, I really wouldn't put it past my opponents here to have a hand like Jack 9 or 6-9. So for that reason, I'm going to check here and probably just check fold against any sort of bet. The under the gun player finds a check behind and the cutoff now fires out for $325, which is about 75% pot here. I think about it for a bit. Sort of in the tank here, I guess. Obviously, we don't really beat any value. We just have top pair, top kicker. It's also extremely hard to find a bluff 3 ways from this cutoff player, I think, so for that reason, I'm just going to find a pretty standard laydown, I think. For what it's worth, the under the gun player puts in the call behind. These two end up playing about $1,000 pot when it's all said and done. The cutoff player is going to roll over ace-9 with the ace of hearts, 9 of clubs for a pretty savage bluff. I honestly think this is pretty cool. And the under the gun player behind me rolls over king-10 offsuit for a rivered 2 pair. So we were in second place here. I guess if we did find the call against the cutoff bet, we would have won this pot because I don't think the under the gun player is going to overcall with top 2, but I think speculating like that is probably a bad way to think about this hand. Sandwiched in the middle here, it's really just very difficult for us to find the call here, so I'm not too stressed about it, but it was definitely a weird hand for sure. I think at the end of the day, I put all of my chips in the middle when I was ahead and I folded when I was behind, so like I said, not too stressed about it, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This was definitely one of the weirder hands we played today. Proceeding this hand, we go about an hour without really doing all too much. We ate some food, took a little break, and then aside from that, really haven't played any big hands thus far, so we get back in the mix at around 6:45 at night, where we see the +1 player, the low jack, and the hijack limp $5 over an under the gun straddle. Out of the big blind here, we're playing out of position once again, where we pick up a fairly decent hand. We got ace jack offsuit. Out of position, facing multiple limps, I'm just gonna choose a very large size here and play a 3-bet sized pot. I make it 55 to go. The +1 player is gonna fold. The low jack's gonna call, and the hijack is going to fold behind, so going heads up here with a pretty decent sized pot with a fairly good hand. Flop comes ace jack 5 two-tone board with 2 spades. We have the jack of spades in our hand. I start with a check out of position. I could definitely just bet myself. The low jack's now going to come with a tiny little bet of $25. I have top 2 pair, so I decide to check raise to 175, which is a bit too big, I think, but playing this deep, trying to get as much money in as possible.
Oh, I hate you.
I hate you too, Mark. Mark's gonna let us know that he hates us. We say that we hate you too, Mark. Shout out Mark. He was the owner of this game, the guy who runs the game. Really nice guy. I appreciate him inviting me. He doesn't think about it for all too long before finding the fold. I'm a little bit upset that he didn't pay us off here, so we let him know. Mark, you wanted to be in the vlog or what?
Yeah.
That's what you'll have to do.
Poker's a lot more fun where you can have friendly banter like this. Or I guess in this case, not so friendly banter. Everyone at this game was a super good sport, and honestly, that was one of my favorite aspects of this game. Just a pretty good group of friends for the most part, just messing around and completely needling one another, so I had to get in on it a little bit. I had fun with this, and it seemed like the table enjoyed it as well. Shout out Mark for having me once again, and please pay me off next time. Would appreciate that very much. That brings us to our next hand of the day, which again is about an hour later. We pick up ace-5 of diamonds and open things up to $20 over a $5 under the gun straddle. We're going to see the middle position player, our friend Zach, 3-bet us up to $60 to go. I overheard Zach taking a phone call earlier where his girlfriend was yelling at him to get home. He's been gone for far too long. She mentioned that he should just 3-bet somebody light before he leaves and then run away with a small pot, so I have that in the back of my mind here. We're going to see the small blind cold call the 3-bet. And it gets back over to me, and I think this small blind cold call is always just going to be a medium strength hand that really can't face much resistance. And Zach has admitted in the past that he has extreme last hand syndrome, so again, this 3-bet could be fairly light as well. For these reasons, we decide to find a very, very light 4-bet bluff here to $160 with ace-5 suited. Zach's going to put in the call, and the small blind's going to fold, so going heads up in a very large pot here out of position. We get a flop of Jack-10 deuce, rainbow board, backdoor diamond draw for us. I'm going to continue to tell the story that I have an overpair or perhaps top set. I bet $100, and after a very long tank from Zach, he decides to put in the call. Turn rolls off the deuce of hearts, pairing the board. Really doesn't change the board texture whatsoever. If I had a hand like aces, kings, or jacks full, I would probably want to go 3 streets for value here. We have about 800 behind, and there's about 600 in the middle. So with this SPR, I decided that I'm just going to run a really big bluff here. I'm going to go small on the turn here, and then I think jam all rivers. Just try and put max pressure on whatever kind of hand he has. I bet $175. He thinks it over for a bit, and then eventually finds the fold. So we get this really ballsy bluff through here. It's not spew if it gets through. So we'll take it down. Nice hand here. Pretty proud about this bluff. Let me know if it's complete trash in the comments below. This next hand, my phone messed up and I didn't get it on camera. I got the results of the hand, but not the actual hand itself. We pick up pocket jacks in the small blind, just playing naked 1-2. We have a limp from UTG, MP, and hijack for $2. Folds around to the button, who opens absolutely massive to $65. This has been a common theme from this button player. He does occasionally have a very large open size, typically with rather strong hands. With pocket jacks here, playing out of the small blind against a massive size here, I really think our only play is going to be to 3-bet. If we flat the 65, now we're going to go 4 or 5 ways out of position with pocket jacks, which doesn't really sound that ideal. We make things $210 to go. We should probably go a bit bigger. I think a size like 250 or 260 would be much better here, but we make it 210. All of the limpers get out of the way, and it gets back over to the button, who ponders all of his options for a bit, and then eventually finds a 4-bet to $500. This player has us covered. We have about $1,650 in our stack. Calling seems pretty horrible here. If we call 500, we're now going to have 1,000 in the middle, with about 1,000 back playing out of position. That just doesn't really sound that ideal. I also think this player's range might only be aces and kings and ace-king. Not doing very well against any of those hands. Even if he has queens in the mix, there's really not any hands that we have crushed. So for those reasons, I think we have a pretty easy fold here. We decide to get away from it, mitigating our losses to only $210. This player says, I don't usually show my hands, but I'll show you if you show me. I table my hand pocket jacks and said I folded a big hand. And then this player rolls over queen 8 offsuit and absolutely wrecks our world. It ain't spew if it gets through, but just wow. This is a crazy 4-bet bluff. I guess this player knows his customers fairly well. He knows that I'm capable of finding a fold with jacks here. I was honestly just blown away by this 4-bet and really just got wrecked here, nothing else to say. This is the last hand of the session. Admittedly, I was getting pretty tired. We had been playing since about 1 o'clock. I really dislike the way I played this hand. I think I missed out on quite a bit of value, so you'll see that later, but just full disclosure, was getting pretty tired and likely not playing my best poker. A little bit upset about this one all in all. We're playing 1-2-5 with the button straddle on. We see the big blind and the under the gun player put in $5 to call. I look down at king 10 of diamonds and open things up to $30 to go. Following this, we see the button, the big blind, and the under the gun player come in for $30. So going 4 ways here, sandwiched in the middle of this nice little 4-man tango. We get a flop of ace king 3 two-tone board, 2 spades, and a club. It's going to check over to me, and I decided in game to check here, which I think is fine. We have second pair, don't really want to bloat the pot going multi-way. Button's going to check behind, so we're going to get a turn card for no charge. Turn card's beautiful. It's the king of clubs. We improve to trips. Really good stuff here. 2 quick checks from the under the gun player as well as the big blind, and gets back over to us. Obviously, in hindsight, definitely want to be going for value here. In a game where no one really folds anything, I should definitely be going for value. I'm not too sure why I decided to check back here. Maybe I was just getting a little trappy. It was getting late. People were spewing, but I honestly dislike this a lot. Button's going to check behind, which is really bad for us because now we've missed out on potentially 2 streets of value. River rolls off the 10 of hearts, so we improve to a boat. Once again, the big blind and the under the gun player check for a 3rd time. Definitely want to be going for value here, so I choose an $80 river bet sizing. Going about 2/3 pot, I should probably just go bigger. If anybody slow played an ace, they're pretty much going to call any size, I think, as played. Button player snaps it off. Big blind and under the gun get out of the way. Obviously, we're good here with king 10. We table our hand, we win. But yeah, it really feels like I missed out on a street of value just based on how quickly the button player called. Nonetheless, we take down about 170 bucks. Nice little pot here, but I think it could have been much larger. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap up the vlog. We just finished playing. We played from like 12:30 to 10-ish, something around there, so yeah, we played for about 9.5 hours. Pretty long session. We were in for 15, out for 15, so we made 15 bucks today. I battled pretty hard. There's obviously a lot of hands to go over, so we're gonna have to go through all that and digest all of those hands, but I feel like it sort of was broken into a couple pieces today. At first, sat down and pretty much punted with queen 10 to begin the day. Following that, we won the huge hand with ace queen. Got into a couple cooler situations towards the middle of the session, kind of bled back down. Actually got fairly stuck towards like the middle to end of the day, and then played a couple reasonable hands at the end to get unstuck. Pretty swingy session. I don't think I played super well at all, but obviously a couple of those hands were coolers for the most part, and then like the king jack hand versus ace jack, I lost the min, so I was happy about that, but it kind of never feels great to start the day off with a huge pot getting shipped our way, and then at the end of the day we're just break even. But yeah, that's the way it goes. We're gonna go through, we're gonna look at the hands, break them down a little bit, and try and learn from them. So I'm eager to see what you guys have to tell me in the comment section below. Any of the hands you want to talk about, throw them down there. I'll be happy to answer with a comment. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to go follow me on Instagram down below. I'll leave a link. Post a lot of cool stuff over there. So if you guys are looking for more content, make sure to follow me over there. That's all I really got, guys. Once again, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, guys, Dookie Bets.